Welcome back, my friends, for another fun reloading video. Today we're working on some 350 Legend with some awesome cast bullets here sent to the channel by CW Longshot. He's known to have a master's degree in casting. He makes the best looking bullets. He mixes his own powder coats, and I'm lucky enough to have gotten a couple from him. So thank you very much, CW. I'm finally getting around to these. I did not forget about them, but again, thank you so much. So today's bullets are the MP 358-200 made out of wheel weights. They've all been gas checked, and they are a pentapoint, hollow point design. Very nice. The 10 I've chosen today all weigh exactly 200 grains on the dot, so we're going to be super consistent as far as that goes. And I'm pretty sure I'll have to size these down here. I'm going to go for 356, but as we can see, these are exactly 360 on the dot as well. So I'm going to have to size these down to 356 for the Legend here. So that's where we will get started. Before we go any further though, we need to get all up close here and admire these. I really like this green color, and the purple is pretty awesome as well. So in order to be able to chamber a round, I'm going to have to size these to 356, but I'm only going to do these 10 here for today because I might do some later with the 35 Remington or even screw around in 38 Special or something else just for fun. So here we are on the RCBS Rock Chucker. I have my Lee sizing die installed already, and I'm going to try and test one of these first before I pick one of the 10 that I've sorted, because I'm going from 360 down to 356. So that could be a large jump. Let's see if anything weird happens. Oh, it was just cake. So I've got one mixed in, but I'm going to grab these 10 over here. Seeing if any of these noses are getting boogered up at all, but they don't look too bad, but maybe a little pressure being put on that thin spot. Gas checks are nice and tight, and you can see that smooth side where it's been sized down, but you can also see that the powder coat held up beautifully. So these are going to be awesome. I'm feeling good about them. And now we can see that we are perfectly at 356. These are ready to go, and they look just beautiful. So now we have all of our 10 bullets sized and ready to go. Also, our brass was previously prepped on a live stream, so we are even belled at the mouth, primed. All we need to do is add powder and seat some bullets. This is all brand new Starline brass here. It was we did size it, and it is primed with the CCI number 400 small rifle primer. And today's powder we're going to be using is Hodgdon H110. I already love H110 for the 300 blackout. It's great for supers, and some people enjoy it for subsonic loads even. And real quick before we go on to pick our powder charge, here's a nice close-up of H110. Super fine ball flake powder. Meters just like watery, buttery, you know. It's really good in the Uniflow and in the Dillon. How about that? I'm certain if you had the Lee drum that's prone to spilling out little ball powders like this, it'll probably do that exact same thing. But as far as the two I've previously mentioned, I've had great luck with those. So now that we're looking for data, the 350 Legend is still a pretty new cartridge. I think it was introduced in 2018 or 2019. And since then, there's not been a ton of factory offerings for a 355 diameter rifle bullet. But CW was, we were talking back and forth, and he mentioned to look up 357 Remington maximum data, and you can generally start with a maximum charge of it for your 350 Legend, and that's a pretty good starting point. And although our published data here does have H110, this is for a 170 grain bullet, so I'm shooting something that's almost 10 to 20% heavier. So this data, while it gives me a ballpark of what I might be in, it's definitely not the best starting point. So let's take a look at the 357 Remington Maximum and see what they have to say. And also real quick, we'll note our 350 Legend case length is going to be 1.71 inches. So just to compare that, we'll take a look at the 357 Remington, and you can see that this is 1.605. So the case capacity is going to be very similar, but again, it's good to start low and work up till we have function and accuracy, and then we can see what kind of pressures we're getting. But since this is a smaller case, which might have different case capacity depending on where we're seating it, it's best to take caution and always start low when you're doing your own thing, guys. And so since we're in the handgun section, you'll see that it's only a 10.5-inch barrel, 1 and 14-inch twist, but also they have the 357 Maximum TC version. Although we have a 10-inch barrel again, it provides you more data. So here we have a 200 grain bullet, and we can see H110 maxing out at 19.5 grains there. And also it has 296, which is the same exact powder. However, they list it going up to 19.9 grains of powder. So that'll give us a pretty good guesstimate of where we want to start. So I'm thinking 19.5, 20 might be a good spot, but let's look at some other sources here and see what we can come up with. So here we are at the newest edition of the Lee Reloading Manual. They do not have 350 Legend data in this book, but they do in the die set. So speaking of the die set data, here's a look at that. If you notice all these powders here, we've got Little Gun, 296, H110, 4227, CFE Black. This data is exactly verbatim for the Hodgdon Reloading website. So they just copy and pasted this because I know the earlier versions of the die sets, they didn't even have data in them. So that's what we have to work with here. If I were to go online, this is exactly what I would see. They just added, their CC volume for their discs, but they'll give you the same starting and maximum with the same exact powders. So and that only went to 180 grains, which isn't quite where we need to be at 200. So here's the Lee manual with the 357 Remington Maximum data. 357 Remington Maximum data, H110, 200 grain bullet. They're going to stop at 20 grains. So the Hornady book said 19.5 and 19.9. Lee here says 20 grains. I think 19.5 will be a pretty good safe spot. I don't know if we'll get function, but it should be kind of fun just to see how they group. So we're going to go with 19.5 grains of H110 here. So I'm just keeping a little note card here with all of our components and whatever. I had to write down our charge, 19.5. That way I don't blow anything up and we can remember what we're doing here, just in case I walk away or whatever. And then also while I'm at the range, I'll know what I'm using. So that's helpful as well. So to be scooping out our powder today, I'm using the 1.6 cc scooper. That came with the die set. Been used a few times, meh. But we're just going to be dipping into the jug and then trickling up to our final amount here. And our scale is at 0. So we'll set it to 10. Plus 9 is 19.5. 19.5. Let's see what a nice healthy scoop will give us. Yeah, too much, but it's really close. Okay, we're pretty close there. I'll just trickle back up. There's 19.5 grains. We use our beautiful purple 3D printed funnel-y guy. And our case capacity is actually looking pretty good. It's not very full. It's not super full, rather. I figure a bullet might be in here, and the powder looks to be about down there, maybe. Kind of hard to tell this way, but we'll have a little extra breathing room, which isn't going to be a bad thing, especially with an unknown load, unknown bullet, everything. I want to start low, definitely. So I'm going to pour these, and then we'll get to seating. And we're just on our last charge here. And after that, we'll visually check all of our cases to make sure they all have been charged. They all look roughly the same. There's no double charges, any funny business like that. Perfect. And the customary drive-by. They all look pretty much the same to me. They all have a charge. So I have no idea where our bullet seating overall length is going to end up, but I'm going to screw the die down until we feel it contact our neck here, and then I'm going to back it off just so I know that we're not crimping anything. I will do that after we have everything seated. So we'll just run it up here. Make sure your stem is backed out while you turn the body down. And there we have contacted the mouth of the case. I'm just going to come back a half a turn and we will lock it right there. That way we're not going to crimp any of our cases, and I'll have plenty of adjustment with our seating stem here. So we'll just get it started here inside that bell we made on our cases, and we'll send her down. I don't think we made any. Okay, we barely touched it, so I'll give this a few turns. We are getting close, but you can see I want to end up right here in that little groove. Just a tad more. How about a skosh more? How about a CH more? Can't say that, you know. Okay, that looks about right where I want it. Unfortunately, I can't crimp or test out our magical case gauge there till we get them all, but that looks pretty good right now. So let's get these others done and we'll see how we do. Number 2 is perfect, right on the spot where we want it. I think we are good to go. We're dialed in here. I'll let you know when we're done, and we will get on to the crimping. We're just seating our last bullet here. They all look just perfect and uniform and excellent, and we're good with seating. Now we're going to pull this out, and I have the Lee factory crimp die that we shall use in its place. This one will also require a case to set up, and I bet that lock ring is pretty close to what we're going to want. But I won't bet on anything, and I'll still get it set up for this. Let's see if that's enough. Nope. Beautiful. Right in and right out of the gauge. And this one's actually the first one, so it's a tad bit long, but all we had to do was close up that case mouth to make it fall into the chamber gauge. And we're good to go. Let's knock these out. Last one. Man, these are beautiful bullets, I'll tell you what. Sure is fun having all these colors. Look at that hollow point. That thing is wicked. We still have plenty of room in there as far as case capacity. Ooh, that one might need a little bit more. It goes in and out with just a little persuasion. So let's come back down just a little on it. And this is why we double check everything in the gauge. Oh, you heard it. There we go. That one's great. I'll just touch them once more with that crimp. See how it's not quite getting in there? Now it's perfect. So there we have it, folks. Those were our 358-200s hollow points from CW Longshot. Again, with 19.5 grains of H110, CCI 400 primers and Starline brass. Cannot wait to test these out, so make sure to stay tuned for the range report. And welcome to the range report, folks. Here we are. And if I haven't already said so, make sure to go subscribe over to CW Longshot's channel. I will leave a link down in the description, so make sure to go and check him out. And on to the range report here. I just pulled these out of the box as I fired them. This was our first shot where we did our very first test of function. I only loaded one in the magazine, and as you can see, it fired, it functioned, it locked back, and I even hit the target. How about that, huh? So I first checked that one round, made sure it was doing okay. And then so I did the next 4 after that to see if we could feed consecutive rounds and how they actually grouped. So I had a 5-shot group on the paper there.
Very impressive.
And we'll see on our very last shot, it actually failed. There was a failure to feed, so I had to pull out the magazine, clear and rack the bolt, and then refeed it through the magazine and fire the last round on the paper after that. Here we have a close-up of our brass. It wasn't too bad as far as getting beaten up. It was a fairly light charge. I was actually surprised when it functioned and locked back after the first round, but that was great. We can see some little marks from the bolt face, the extractor and ejector pulling and tugging here and there. But overall, I've seen much worse as far as stamping into the heads actually, and big burrs hanging off of the case heads. So overall, we can see fairly low pressure signs on our primers here. They're still rounded on the edges. There's no cratering. And again, no extra wear on our brass. So if I can actually do my part in aiming, we can test for some accuracy next and see if increasing our velocity in our charge a little bit might help. Who knows? And then here with the blue marker, these were the purple bullets compared to the green ones I had loaded. They were the exact same weight, same specs and everything, just 2 different colors. Again, no pressure signs at all. They didn't get beaten up. And here I just went out to 100 yards with the iron sights and was shooting at the steel. We did get 5 hits out of 5 shots, so woohoo for me, yeah. But also you'll notice I had a malfunction on the very last round of the magazine, so maybe I need to look into this. Is anyone else having issues with their last round feeding out of their AR-15 style magazines?
Okay.
And yes, I have the proper magazines. Here we can see that we are marked 350 on the follower, and also it is stamped 350 Legend. These are the CMMG 20 rounders, and I was using this one here where I have the little tape mark, and I did that because originally I noticed when I put a round in, you see how this follower here is tilted, whereas this one is straight. Is perhaps the magazine I used, is it screwing up because of this right here? Or is that just a coincidence that I was using this mag and it does that? Or should I look further into that? Anyways, enough about the magazines. We were 5 for 5 on the steel. And here we have a quick look at our target. I'm fairly certain this was my first shot. I was using the Marlin and 35 Remington. I was using the scope on that, or I was holding the lever gun to use it as a spotting scope to check after I made the shot on the AR 350 Legend. So I believe this was my first shot, and then I loaded the last 4, which you saw the malfunction on the very last round. But here we are at 50 yards. I think that's like 2.5 inches or 2 inches center to center. Open sights. I'm a crappy shot. I need new glasses, yada, yada, yada. I moved it down a couple clicks. I adjusted the front sight down just a few after I saw this. And then that's when we went to the steel and hit 5 for 5, baby. What's up? And so there we go, folks. That is going to wrap it up for this episode using the CW Longshot 358-200 M&P mold, hollow points, Oh man, they were pretty. They shot good. I need to kick up the velocity, I believe. So next time we'll probably try something a little hotter maybe. But that was a good starting point. We got lots of data as far as I'm learning about where my gun can function, and just getting data on something like a 200 grain bullet, which doesn't exist out there. So all in all, great learning experience. Thank you so much, Mr. CW Longshot, for sending those over to the channel. Again, guys, make sure to stop over and subscribe to him and check out all of his fun stuff he's got going on. Stay tuned for more, guys. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one.